I'm Carla from Trash Imagination, and today's video is about the wonderful things that I've made over the years because of my love for Taiko, or Japanese drumming. And even if you're not familiar with that, I hope you'll stick around because there's lots of ideas. Whether you make quilts or bags or ornaments or any kind of craft, you can learn about Taiko, and you can learn about the things that I've made inspired by Taiko. One of the first things I did when I started playing Taiko was to make some practice drums. And these drums are made out of garbage cans. They are called gomi daiko, gomi meaning trash and daiko meaning drum. So if you take a look at this, it's just a regular trash can. You can see, and then I cut out the bottom with a box cutter, and then I put packing tape in a star shape like this. And you might say, well, why wouldn't you just put the tape on that side? Well, for two reasons. One is that that side is a little bit bigger. So if I had the drum like that, the drum would be tippy. But also because then I can stack them on top of each other when I'm not using them. So you can see this one I've had now for over a decade. There's a lot of tape on there over the years. And the sometimes we play the drums like this where it's flat and we're playing like that. And then sometimes we play the drums up on an angle like this. In order to get the drum to be up on that angle, I had to come up with a stand. You could use an upside down chair, but this one I made out of scrap wood, and it has bungee cords to keep it in place so that I can practice playing the drum in this way as well. This next item I made, it's called our bachi blanket, and it is a series of little pockets where we can put our drumsticks during the performance. And people can also like take off their watch and throw it in there. And originally I sewed this because when we'd go to performances, in between songs, you would put down your bachi, you would put down your stuff, and you would like, oh, where did I put it? Or if you had to go get someone else's bachi in between songs, it could be very stressful. And so I have these little see-through pockets where we have these little pieces of paper with people's names on it, and therefore we can customize it for every performance. Another cool feature of this blanket is that on the back it has this kind of plasticky fabric that I just happened to have in my stash. And that's really great because sometimes we're performing on grass like this or on dirt, and that keeps the fabric from getting dirty and wet and things like that. So that's another great feature of this bachi blanket. And lots of Taiko performers that we've met with, when they see this, they're like, oh, that's really cool. We want to make one of those too. So that's a cool innovation if you have a Taiko group. Something I have made many of for my Taiko group are simple drawstring bags. And these ones are made from upholstery samples, just sewn together into just some sort of rectangle shape. And then they have a simple drawstring at the top. I use for the cords, I get those from, in the trash you see people, they throw out shopping bags. These are the handles from the shopping bags. And why do I make this style of bag? This is because when we perform, we wear shoes like this. These are called tabi. They have, you might notice, a little extra spot there for your toe. And we perform outside in all different environments, sometimes on grass, sometimes dirt. And so usually after we perform, I don't want to put those in my bag where the rest of my gear is located without protecting the items in my bag. So I sewed these tabi bags so that everyone could put their tabi in a bag before they then throw it in their bag to take home. So another thing I've made is this type of drawstring bag, and I made it for this instrument. This is a shekere. Yes. So we had a couple of those, and it was hard to transport them to events, so I made two bags like this. And you might think, wow, that fabric looks old-fashioned. It is. I got this at a Quilt Guild meeting in a box, about 1 million of these little rectangles, and they became this bag. So this is yet another thing I made inspired by Taiko. This is another type of bag that I made. This is a bag for carrying bachi, and you can see on the back here, I actually took these arm straps from another backpack that was falling apart. And this was my bachi bag for quite a few years, but It's actually gotten too small now. I have too many bachi and too much other gear I need to bring, so I don't bring it anymore. But I used to have my pins on it, and it had pockets inside, and I used to hold it closed with this little thing like that. So yes, this is a very sentimental bag, but yes, I'm not currently using it. In 2019, I made this bag for our sister Taiko group, So Daiko, in New York City for their 40th anniversary. And inside the bag, we gave them a commemorative bat that they used to play on their taiko. Another kind of bag that I have made inspired by my taiko friends are these komebukuro, or rice bags. And these are opened and closed with a drawstring. And I make them with upcycled upholstery samples. And they are really cute, and I love using them to give as gifts. In 2021, I made a komebukuro for each member of Nen Daiko. This is another item I sewed for my taiko group. These are hard inside. They have a PVC pipe inside. And this was the first one I made. This is for holding a flute. So this was my first design, very simple. It just had the drawstring closure, and you would put your flute inside. Boop, boop. But because it has a PVC inside with soft-sided, kind of like a sleeping bag inside to protect the flute, and then soft-sided on the outside to make it not bounce against my bachi. This is a pretty cool design. I ended up having a second flute, and it didn't fit. They both didn't fit into this little one, and plus I wanted to improve the design. So this is my new flute holder, and inside I can now fit 2 flutes. And this actually, I've had this now for quite a few years, and it's getting a little beat up too. But you can see it can hold 2 flutes now. And a beautiful Japanese fabric. Yeah, the cute little closure. It's Velcro. There's a whole video of how I made this up on my YouTube channel if you have a flute and you want to make a flute holder or a fue holder. This is probably the most unusual item that I have made inspired by taiko. So when we are performing, we usually wear a coat called a happi coat that opens in the front and is held closed with a belt called an obi. And I wanted to create one, a double wide happi coat that 2 people could be in at the same time and play taiko together as sort of a fun activity. So I made this one, and we performed in it at a kids show at a school. Another item I made inspired by our group was a tenugui. So a tenugui is, in Japan, they have little pieces of cloth like this that have usually very cute designs on them, and they're like a little towel. And I designed this one for Nen Daiko. We were performing at an event, and we wanted something that we could give out as like a gift. And we printed them onto some tenugui. So how did I print this? If you look at this is a kind of an old piece of wood from my house, and I cut out foam shapes from this sticky foam stuff, and then it has to be a mirror image of what you want the tenugui to be at the end. Originally I had this image, but we decided not to put that in our final design. We just went with this full, more horizontal design. This shows some of the skyline of Washington, D.C., where our group is from. So that, and I got some fabric paint, and I used a sponge to put the paint on there, and then we would take the tenugui and we would lay it down on top there and press down so that the fabric paint would print. Here's the next thing that I made that was inspired by our taiko group. These are these really cute photo opportunities that we set up every summer at our obon. And the first one that I painted was this one, this dancing girl. And she is dressed up for Bonodori, which is like this community dance that we do at the obon. And then here, my husband actually made this one. This is showing a Nen Daiko member playing taiko at the obon. So these, obviously you can put your face in the hole and then take your photo, and it's a really cute activity for kids at our obon. I'm just going to show you the back in case you want to make something like this. So this piece of wood we got on Buy Nothing Reston. It's like a thinner piece of wood, like a plywood or a press board. And then we attached these thicker pieces of wood along the sides and the bottom in order to make it so it doesn't flop around. And then when we're going to set it up at the event, we have these feet that we attach by like we have it pre-drilled, and we just screw them into the base piece of wood like that, and then we can set it up wherever we want at the event. Next, I'm talking about the ornaments that I've made, and here they are displayed on a stand that I made out of upcycled broken bachi, because of course bachi break when you're playing taiko. So I'm going to zoom in here in a second so you can see each ornament and I can explain the story behind them. This is the first taiko inspired ornament that I made. And inside here, inside the ornament, this is made out of some plastic packaging. This is how it looks without the ends on it. You can see this, it's made out of clear plastic. And in the United States, they sell applesauce in this type of packaging. And this is actually two of the packaging stuck together and then painted brown so that it looks like the barrel that we use to make our drums. So the first step was to make this part. Then I took some upcycled upholstery samples and I put beads around the edges. The beads represent the tacks that hold the head of the drum down onto the barrel. This is the second ornament I made, and it's supposed to represent a taiko performer. So there's his little face and body, and it's in the colors of the Nen Daiko uniform, which are purple, white, and black. And these are supposed to be their feet. And these popsicle sticks are supposed to be their bachi. And this taiko performer is wearing a type of drum that is called an okero, and this is made out of a cork and some caps from milk cartons, and then it's all tied together. This is the next ornament that I made, and it's a little bit faint there, but you can see the year 2017 is sewn onto it. And it represents a wolf that is running. The reason why this was the ornament this year was because my group had the huge honor of performing at the North American Taiko Conference. And one of the songs that we played was called Roga by Ryo Shimamoto. And that song is about a wolf pack. So that was very meaningful memory of that year. And that's why I did this wolf ornament for everybody. This is our Taiko love ornament. You can see it's a heart for love, and it's made out of upholstery sample scraps, and I have embroidered a taiko on it. This represents taiko love. So in 2018, Nen Daiko started a global social media campaign every October where taiko performers would share photos and videos based on various taiko themes. And so this ornament represents the starting of taiko love. We also later on made these buttons, and my daughter actually did the drawing, and it's so cute. So this ornament obviously was made in 2020, and it was to remember that very challenging year that we had together. Now, of course, we could not play taiko together during 2020. We were playing individually in our homes, trying to keep practicing, and it was difficult to practice over Zoom because there was lag time on the sound. But we did. We really tried to support each other during that year emotionally. And so I made this ornament to remember that tricky year. Now, what is this little snowman made out of? He is made out of a spice jar like this. So I just painted it white and gave him some arms and made toilet paper out of some cork. And that's our 2020 ornament. By 2022, we were able to perform again together at festivals, and that was wonderful, and we really loved being back together. So I made this to represent being back together under the cherry blossoms. This is a sakura, or a cherry blossom, and it is hooked using rug hooking, which is a technique that is very popular where I grew up in Nova Scotia. And inside, it's kind of stiff because inside there is a CD, a recycled CD, which gives it some nice heft and make sure it doesn't curl up when it's hanging up.
Here are some quilts that I made inspired by Taiko. The first one is this one that I made for the lead instructor during my apprenticeship program. I made this felt embroidery for a member when she was leaving the group in 2017. It is inspired by this photograph by Evan Cantwell. In 2018, I made this wolf quilt inspired by the song Roga that I mentioned earlier as a thank you to the composer of the song, Ryo Shimamoto. I made this quilt for a Taiko friend from Upcycled Neckties. It features 60 hexagons in red, and it was for her 60th birthday, or her kanreki, which is a very significant milestone birthday in Japanese culture.
This is the biggest quilt I've ever made, inspired by Taiko, and it was created because in 2017, our group was invited to travel to San Diego to participate in a very special concert called the Taiko Jam Concert as part of the North American Taiko Conference. And we wanted to help all our members to afford to get there, so we asked our friends and family to sponsor us. And what I did to thank all our sponsors was I sewed their name onto this quilt. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see some of the names of our sponsors. So when I started making this quilt, we didn't know how many sponsors there would be. We didn't know if it would be a small quilt or a big quilt. And so I just made it section by section. And then as more sponsorships came in, I could expand the size of the quilt. And we are still very grateful to all these sponsors who made it possible for us to participate in that concert. It was truly a once-in-a-lifetime event. Here's the back of the quilt, and you can see a little label that I sewed here. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you're interested in any of these projects, just let me know and I could make another video about them. And if you want to know more about what I'm working on, just subscribe here at Trash Imagination.